All right, and what was the age? 21? 19 when you get the second one?
The second one, I was probably 22.
22.
Yeah.
All right, so you have your second one, your second transplant at 22, and now you have to do social distancing for how long?
About 4 months.
Now, is it literally just you, because your family's around you, or no?
No, I mean, that kind of stuff hasn't really been thought out, right? But yeah, you completely distance for about 2. And granted, this is, again, the rules 17, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
But you completely distance for 2, meaning you don't even leave the house. But then for about 2, you're supposed to do limited, like you're not going to an Astros game, right?
Yeah.
But if you go to like the grocery store, you put on a mask.
Okay. Wow, okay.
So I kind of joked about it with my doctors and whatnot after my third. It's like, man, I just fit right in.
Like, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Nobody's asking any questions.
Right.
You got a mask. That's right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, and you had mentioned a little bit ago that you were in the other session that you were angry, understandably so.
Sure.
Just angry at life, angry at just what the hell you going through.
Right. It was more like, why do I get to do this? Right? My buddies are graduating, we all have girlfriends, getting jobs, what have you, and I'm social distancing, and then, once a month I'm going for lab work, and, I was still completely compliant, but there wasn't like this gratefulness that I have now, right?
Like you have now.
Yeah.
So how did you get from, you had mentioned something about therapy, how did you get,
So I felt pretty bummed out like a year into starting to work, maybe, year or 2 years after my second transplant. So we're call it 23, 24. And maybe a lot of people go through it, right, when they start working. They're like, is this it, right?
Yeah.
No spring break, and I was like, man, I gotta go see somebody. Like, I'm not supposed to feel like this. And so I started really working with therapists, and I've always been a, eat real healthy, workout, but I never cared about like the mind. And so I started working on that, and that certainly helped me a lot. I never took anything like a, antidepressant or anything like that.
Okay.
It was more like kind of learning how to talk through it with
therapists.
So I had a great therapist, saw them for a few years, and that's kind of what got me out of it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right, and then everything's going along. Now, when you got the second one, were you told, hey, by the way, are you told, hey, this will probably last now the rest of your life? I mean, are there statistics that say?
Yeah, so the second one was from a non-living donor, and those do not last, or certainly have a higher chance of having a shorter lifespan.
Why is that?
That's more of a doctor question, but it's like, and possibly it's when it's a living donor, it goes from this room to me.
They know that, yeah.
Versus it comes like from a car wreck to life flight to a hospital so there's a lot of like trauma.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and let me ask you something about that. Just thinking about it. Because you have someone else's, all right, so I have a nephew who passed away, and we know that his cornea, I think, and my sister's son, we know that his cornea is with somebody else. And that makes my sister feel so good, knowing that somebody else can see. So do you ever think about, do they tell you who the person was, or not really?
No, and honestly, back to being so young, I think you're able to ask and like offer, like, hey, you can contact me.
Okay.
You can't go contact them.
Really?
But I did not do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's probably just being 22 and like not caring about.
No, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. All right, so now everything's going along, and you don't know how long it's going to last, but you're good for quite some time, is what you're figuring.
Right. So that was 22. Then probably a strong 12, 13 years, which I got married. I had 3 kids.
Yeah.
Working, really starting our life, or even more so getting into the groove of our life. And then I guess it was like 2017. I started not feeling great, and like one thing, if your kidneys aren't working, your ankles will swell up, right?
Really?
Because it's like not processing all the waste in your body.
Okay.
And and I started noticing that at the end of the workday. And anyways, one of my lab work, numbers are all over the place, and that was kind of the start of like transplant number 3.
And again, so what do you, man, wow. Now, did the therapy help you to that point, say, okay, I'm facing possibly number 3.
Right.
But you had a whole different attitude, do you think, because of some of the, what were you thinking, Steve?
Sure.
And
Definitely.
Again, if I ask you anything that's too personal.
Yeah.
What
No, so I've changed a lot from like when I started getting sick before my 3rd one to now. So I was, I got another therapist, right? And she said that I am the pro of making lemonade out of lemons.
That's awesome.
Right? Well, but like you just keep doing that. And the thing that she, over a couple of years of talking with her, got me to get better at is you're okay. It's fine to like keep plugging along, keep making lemonade out of lemons, but you have to stop and say like, this sucks, but I still got to keep going. I never admitted that it sucked, right?
Okay.
And she was like, just stopping and saying like, I hate this. Then you can go on your defensive ways and,
That's good advice.
Yeah, because you just keep saying, oh yeah, I'm great. And it's like, no, you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost like a release if you just say it.
Right, exactly.
Wow, okay. All right, now, and this 3rd time, you're thinking, okay, now it's going to be even harder for a match, right? Because now and this is when you found out, well, was it around this time or somewhere before this time you found out about this other way? Because you're getting a transplant from this person to you that's either from, both times were from someone who passed on.
Right.
Because you're trying to find a donor, but even finding a donor within your family doesn't mean, just because you're family doesn't mean you're
Correct.
a donor. Right.
Yeah.
Because,
everybody thinks it's this blood type thing, which is quasi-true. And, irony of ironies, my blood type is the universal donor.
Oh, wow, okay.
Like I'm O negative, so the only thing I can receive is O negative. But everybody else can receive O negative.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
So, yes, you're looking for any type of donor, and I think you were saying the thing I learned about, which is the donor swap program.
Yeah,
so the donor swap is where, if you wanted to donate a kidney for me, but you and I are not a match,
right?
We could come forward to the hospital and say, hey, if you find a kidney for Stephen that they can't donate to their friend, I'll donate to them if Stephen gets that kidney.
Oh, wow.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does. Okay.
So,
so that also broadens your chances of getting a kidney, because you can still get it from someone who passes away or whatever.
Right.
But now you have this person who's going to donate a kidney, and it happens to be the exact kind of kidney you need.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. So I was on dialysis for about 3 years this time, 3.5. And I was going through all these procedures to try and lower my immunity, not immunities. What did I just told you?
What do you call it? Antibodies or what?
Antibodies. I was going through all these procedures to try and lower my antibodies. So they had this roadmap of all my antibodies on the screen. And the story I'm told is the guy who kind of led that program was walking by where my doctor was, on a screen working with somebody else's antibodies on a donor setup.
Right.
And he was like, "Oh, is that Thorpe?" And my doctor's like, "No, it's so-and-so." And he's like, "That's a perfect match." So he had memorized my little schematic.
Yeah. And it's the same hospital as you're in, or the same doctors.
Yeah.
What are the odds of that? Go ahead.
Yeah, and so he had like memorized my schematic.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, okay, we got to go talk to this lady, right? Because now all of a sudden Stephen has a potential donor.
Yeah.
Which like there was nothing anywhere close for three and a half years.
Stephen, talk about that, the 3.5 years. Because
Yeah.
now you're married, you have kids.
Yep.
Is dialysis, I don't know, I think, is it twice a week? I don't know.
Sure. Nope. 3 times a week, 4 hours at a time.
Wow. Man,
Yep.
Okay.
And it's very, so let's say you go on Monday, I would go kind of middle afternoon, and you're pretty wiped out, or at least I was. I've heard stories of other people who are energized after, but I was pretty wiped out right after. And then, the next day you feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Like you sleep off the fatigue and all that, and you're feeling pretty good. You feel really great the morning before you go.
Oh, yeah.
For, Wednesday, but then it kind of goes all again.
And it's 3 times a week, you said?
Yep.
Wow. And you're doing that with the wife, kids, and
Yep.
job?
Uh-huh.
And you did it for 3 years?
Yep.
Wow. Wow, man. And at this point, you don't know. So when you found out about this other program, how long before, when we'll talk about who your donor was, which is pretty cool, or
Yeah.
how that got started.
Right.
How long were you in this what is it called, swap, donor swap?
I was in it for about 12 hours. We were never in it, right? Because they couldn't even find a donor for me. So to have somebody else ready to go just didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, yeah, we were only in it for like overnight.
And let's talk about the lady
Yeah.
that we both know. You know much better than I do.
Sure.
How did she even come to you and say, Stephen, I heard what you're going through? First of all, who is it?
Yeah, it's my sister-in-law. One of my best friends, just absolutely love her.
Adrian, we'll put her picture right here.
Yeah. She certainly knew what I was going through and everything, but, I mentioned I was going through all these procedures to try and become a better match for other people. And my doctor sees the schematic on the screen, and he goes to my eventual donor. They're having a meeting or an appointment, getting set up for her to give a kidney to her brother. And he's like, hey, I know we're supposed to do this in like 4 days, but there's this guy, he's 37, he's got 3 kids, he's got a big old long runway of life ahead of him. And you are the first perfect match I've seen for him in, 3.5 years. Your brother is a very easy match. He's never had a transplant before. He's also like 3 times your size. Like, I'm gonna get him a big kidney from like another, big guy. If you're willing, you would help Stephen a whole lot. And as far as I'm told from both my donor and my doctor, she thought about it for like 30 seconds and was like, that sounds great, but we have to do it on Tuesday because I'm going to Colorado. Yeah.
All right, so where does Adrian come in?
Yeah, exactly. So that was like, call it Wednesday, Thursday, probably Thursday. And I don't have a donor. And so, I'm like, Audrey, there's this lady who's willing to give me a kidney, and Audrey's like, well, I can't.
Who's Audrey? Audrey is.
I'm sorry, Audrey's my wife.
Got it. Okay, sorry.
And so she calls up Adrian in this panic, and she's like, Stephen has a kidney, but like he has to have somebody donate as well. Can his doctor call you? And she's like, yeah, sure. And so he calls her and he's like, hey, can you be here in an hour? And she's like, can it be like an hour and a half? Because the movers just took all my stuff from my house to my new house. It's like middle of the day. And that was on a Friday. And so she went in on Friday, did the whole battery of tests, which is like 6-8 hours.
Oh, wow.
And,
did Adrian talk to you about this beforehand? Did she?
No.
This was just a phone call. Hey, Adrian,
Yeah.
I'm going to sum it up in a crazy sentence. Would you like to donate a kidney?
From my wife to her sister.
Wow, man. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Can I ask why, we may take this off, why your wife couldn't, and again, maybe you don't want both parents could your wife donate or no?
She had preeclampsia during her pregnancy, and so that, the concern is if anybody who donates then down the road has one kidney and they get diabetes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
And so it's kind of, it's debated now, but they're like, well, you're at a higher risk of diabetes.
I know Adrienne. I know she has a giant heart.
Yeah.
Man, you get that phone call because it's still, hey, you're going to have one kidney, which you'll be fine the rest of your life.
Right.
But now you have one as opposed to, and it's an operation. Is there anything else that she has to do? Does she have to be on any kind of medication? And I don't want to give up too many. But is there anything else she has to consider the rest of her life outside of, hey, you're going to be uncomfortable for a week or however long you're.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that? As far
No,
as
I mean, 80's a pretty healthy person. She's turned into this like ultra marathoner.
Yeah.
But take good care of yourself, and you're probably going to be fine.
Man, that's love.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Holy cow! All right, so Steve, how long ago was that? That was not too long ago.
Yeah, so that was my transplant was June 16th of 2020, which was wild in and of itself. They opened up the program, call it June 12th. So they deemed transplants voluntary surgery because you are choosing to accept an organ. So they had stopped them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
wow.
I got it, they opened them on like the 12th. I had one on the 16th. And then I can't remember exactly when Adrian's was, but they shut it down again like a week later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Voluntarily, wow, okay.
Right.
Man. So do you keep in touch with this woman at all? The woman who donated to you?
Absolutely. I think we texted like yesterday.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah. And we have our whole crew. So Adrian then donated to a man's wife, and the man donated to my donor's brother.
Oh my God, man!
So if you can see that triangle, yeah.
Plus, people helping people. I mean, that's even better than, because when I signed that thing on my license, I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm going to use it while
right.
Adrian and people like her are like, no, I'm going to help out now.
Yeah.
Dude, that's huge.
So we go to dinner, and it's like, me and my donor, we're pretty, smaller people, and then 80 and her recipients are just these like sweet girls. And then we got the two big boys who helped each other out. And
Yeah.
But yeah, we go to dinner about quarterly. We did in June, or just before. Anyways, it wasn't that long ago, 6 weeks ago or so.
That's awesome.
Probably will again in the fall. And yeah, we all talk all the time.